and where our agency is completely set up, we're ready to go. All right, so now we will switch and we will go into the onboarding portion. All right, so onboarding. All right, so what we want to do is, in order to get staff in the client in the system, you want to click the plus button to add. All right, there are only a few fields that are required in order to get your staff in the system: first name, last name, and access level. All right, we strongly recommend you also put in an email address as well as a cell phone number at a minimum. But if you don't, it will allow you to enter a staff in the system. So let's talk a little bit about this access level. We have three default access levels: staff, managers, and admins. The main difference between the admin and the manager is the one that we've called out before, is that edit agency, only the administrators have that. They can set up things on a global level for the entire agency. Managers do not have access to that. But aside from that, managers can see multiple clients' information. They can edit. They have pretty much full access throughout the system. But obviously, staff can only add. They can't edit other staff's information. You can restrict certain forms that only staff can. I mean, that only managers and admins can see. So you can actually pick and choose in that show hide form section on what your staff has access to as well. All right. Now, again, if you do not enter an email and you do not enter a cell phone, and let's say, for instance, you just wanted to quickly get the staff in the system and say, okay, I'll come back and fill out all these other sections later, and you click add, it will not know where to send it because it can't send a password for them to log in. It will generate a temporary username and password on the next screen that you'll give to your staff, and then they'll be required to change that when they log in. It's very important that no one has access to anybody else's information in the system, because this is a HIPAA compliant software. If you're not sure who's entering information, it becomes very difficult for you to kind of maintain your compliance. So we strongly recommend that you do not share that information. And then, all right, but let's go into some of these other fields here. You can see here, you can restrict staff to selected facilities. You have the ability to enter their address information. You can assign staff to specific residents. This is an option. You can, let's say, for instance, this staff is only going to work with Alex, right? Well, the only challenge with that is that if that staff's on vacation and you've said only the staff can work with them, staff won't remember that, and then you're on vacation, someone else says, okay, let me fill out Alex's information, and they cannot because they don't have access to it. So we strongly recommend that you choose everyone unless you absolutely need to, or make sure you have coverage there. Now, since we're actually on the staff form, this is how we would actually track the certifications for the staff person. Let's say this new person, we have this information, we have their behavior management training. We can say, okay, this is completed. Maybe the date, maybe they got their training last October and it expires. I'm just putting some dates here. I chose this October, and let's say it expires. Actually, let's say it expires next October, right? And we can say, all right, so now we've got that information in, and you can upload the actual behavior management training and maybe even add some notes. And again, these are all the items that we listed in Edit Agency, and so that's why we see all of these here. You can track their job references. I won't go into the details of all of these. You can track written warnings. You can track annual performance reviews, staff checklist items. Again, similar to the one above, maybe a copy of the driver's license. You can say, okay, it's received, the date received, date of renewal. Again, 30 days prior to that date of renewal, it'll pop up on the alert screen on the home page. All right, so we'll skip through all of this. You can also track the staff's emergency contact, as well as they can upload their own signature. But again, they can also do the signature real time while they're submitting the forms. And then when you're done, you click add to add the staff, or add a new, which will add the staff and take you back to this page to add another one. All right, I'm going to click home. All right, I do not want to add the staff. But now let's say, for instance, I've added all my staff in the system and I want to see them. If I click on the pencil, meaning I want to make changes to something that already exists, I want to make changes, print, etc., I click on this. You can see here on my active staff, the inactive staff, as well as the total. You can actually just start typing a name and it will pull the staff person up. You can also make sure if you have multiple pages, you can deactivate staff from here. You can edit staff. You can do a quick hover to see the staff's information. If there's a picture of the staff, it will also show here. If we do not charge for deactivated staff in the system, we only charge for the active staff that can actually log in. If you're a deactivated staff, you can't log in, but your information is still available. And so if I click show, you can see and you can actually reactivate that staff's information as well. And again, we only charge for the active staff that's using the system. Throughout the system, you may see the word deactivate, delete, archive. Those are all interchangeable terms. It just depends on where you are. But we do not delete anything from the system. So if you think something is completely deleted, it's not. And if you reach out to support, there's a chance that we can recover that because, again, we just deactivate the information. We don't really delete it. All right. So let's go back home. So that's how you would get to your staff. Same thing applies for residents, or again, this could be resident client. It depends on what you've set up. So if I click the plus button, the only required fields here for your residents are first name and last name. But you can see you have lots of options. I won't go through all of them. You can track their diagnosis. You can track housing information. You know, if they're not there, maybe for day programs, etc. Intake questions. You can track some of the intake information. Now, this form does allow you to add custom fields. So you can add, if there are things that are missing here, you can add your own fields into the system as well. Behavioral issues and precautions, you can add that information. Identification, the IDs that you track. And I will actually open Edit Agency. I'm going to open that in the new tab just because I want to refer back to it here on this page. If you go down and we go to notice here we have resident ID label. We said client ID, and we said the secondary one is bed number. And if you go here, and you may not actually be seeing that tab, I just realized that, but that tab allows you to see here, you can see the client ID as well as the bed number. And it's because we define those items in Edit Agency. Matter of fact, I'll just click back over to Edit Agency since we can't switch over to that tab. I'll just go back over to Edit Agency. You can see here is because we said client ID and bed number. So that's why you see that on this editing of the client's page. So let's go back to that. I'm sorry, adding of the residence page. So let's go back to it. And that's why you see these ID numbers again, because those are custom. Summary and warnings. So as you can see here, this is where you would enter that summary information about the client. This is typically what you might put on an ISP or IPP report or treatment plan. You'd want to dump all of that data into here. Sometimes you may copy it from a Word doc or something else. And that's important because this will be used in some of our reports and our treatment plan reports, etc. And then if you have any urgent issues or warnings, this is important as well, because this will show up throughout the system in lots of forms. Let's say the client will run in the street or something like that. You want to put that there because on the client's record, on most of the things that you print out, it will show this, whatever message that you put here. You can track the conservatory and guardianship. You can track placing agency, caseworker information. You can enter all of that, assign residents to staff. And this works the same way as they're assigning staff to residents. And again, you also want to be mindful that you have some sort of coverage if, for instance, you only assign one resident to this staff person and the staff person's on vacation, then no one will be able to enter that. So we usually recommend you just choose all as the default. You can track medical information, medical coverage, physical characteristics and diet, budgeting and bank account information, approved, unapproved, call, visit, etc. Who's they're approved, not approved. You can track emergency contacts, family. You can add different family members, relationship, etc. Education, current, previous, as well as aftercare planning. Like after they leave your agency, what will their transportation needs be, treatment services needs, etc. And then the checklist items for for the resident. And these are the two items that we had when we set up an Edit Agency. So these are listed here. And again, the same thing applies. You enter this information 30 days prior to this date of renewal. It will show up as an alert. You click the Add button to add this person in the system, or add a new, which will add the resident and take you back to this page to add another resident. All right, so let's click Home. All right, so now we have the residents in the system. Same thing applies if you want to view or make modifications to the existing residents. So you click on the pencil. You can deactivate, activate. We allow you to have as many residents as you want. We don't charge based on the number of residents. Again, inactive ones will show up here. You can also just click on inactive records, which will just give you a list of all the inactive records. I'm just going to go back to total records. You can see them here. You can also start typing by name, and you will see them show up. Deactivate, edit. If I want to make changes to this record, I can click on it. And obviously, you can always change the picture, upload the picture for your residents as well as your staff. And if you just quick hover, you can also get that information. All right. And as far as printing and stuff, we'll cover that later when we get into the reports section. All right.